When an organization builds trust among its stakeholders, it can have a powerful effect on protecting its reputation. Trust influences how word of mouth about a company works. When a company is not trusted, 57% of people will believe negative information after hearing it only once or twice. Also, when a company is not trusted, only 15% of people will believe positive information after hearing it once or twice. On the other hand, when a company is trusted, then negative information is much less likely to damage a reputation. And only one or two exposures to positive information have a powerful effect on that information being believed. In psychology, we see similar results with people. If information is consistent with the schema or opinion that you already have of someone, you're more likely to believe it and remember it than if the new information does not fit your prior schema of that person. Ethical issues can occur in all 4 P's of the marketing mix. Marketing ethics is defined as the systematic study of how ethical standards are applied to marketing decisions, behaviors, and institutions. Normative marketing ethics emphasizes transparent, trustworthy, and responsible personal and/or organizational marketing policies and action. Normative marketing ethics also exhibits integrity and fairness to customers and other stakeholders, and it does this by providing certain virtues, values, or principles like trust and fairness to which marketing practitioners should always aspire. So first, let's look at marketing segmentation and target marketing. What is segmentation? Segmentation is dividing up the mass market into smaller groups that are similar in their product preferences. Target marketing is choosing one or more segments and building the marketing mix to appeal to that segment. So what might be an ethical concern with segmentation and target marketing? First, some segments are more vulnerable, such as children or the elderly. Children are more vulnerable because they don't understand the persuasive intent of advertising. In other words, that the purpose of advertising is to sell things. Children also have difficulty separating fantasy from reality. They find it difficult to control their emotions. And children do not have the psychological wall to tune out or block most ads that adults have. A second example of a concern with segmentation in marketing is the pink tax, where, say, women are charged $60 for a haircut, but men are only charged $30. Now, what ethical principle is at work in regulation that protects the vulnerable from marketing manipulation? Well, usually it's fairness due to unequal power. Basically, when one person has less power than another, that person has a responsibility not to take advantage of the other. In the product component of the marketing mix, we see some ethical issues. Now, a product in marketing is a good service or idea. Some common ethical concerns include product safety. The implied warranty in common law is that products are safe for their use as intended. If this is not true, it creates ethical issues. Another ethical issue involves counterfeiting. Counterfeiting is the unauthorized copying of patented products, inventions, and trademarks, or the violation of registered copyrights, often to make a product look more like a popular branded product. The cost to U.S. businesses is over $450 billion a year. And it's unethical because it unfairly takes another brand's goodwill for a knockoff without royalty payments to those who spent time, money, and effort creating that goodwill. And a third example of an ethical issue with products are those that create problems for the physical or natural environment. For example, some products have ethical issues regarding the production and disposition of that product. They waste scarce resources, or they harm the physical or natural environment, or they pollute the land, air, or groundwater through their production, use, or improper disposal. We have seen how the disposable lifestyle in many developed economies generates waste handling problems. Now, often a fundamental ethical issue underlying all of these involves externalities. Externalities are costs that are imposed on society as a whole that are not paid by the original producer or consumer. For example, it costs taxpayers $4 a pound for cleanup of litter or other items dumped instead of properly disposed of. But in comparison, the average cost to dispose of a truckload of trash is $5 to $10. Advertising also has externalities. Some ads encourage destructive activities. Advertising promotes higher consumption, not reduced consumption. Also, ads themselves use resources in their production and distribution. Think about all the junk mail you toss out, all the printed pages of magazines and newspapers that are advertising, all the electricity and bandwidth wasted by spam email and embedded ads for stuff that you're not interested in on social media and internet sites. There are even ethical arguments about whether or not marketing communication is an ethical practice. Now, what do you think some of those arguments might be? Why might some people see advertising and other forms of marketing communication as inherently unethical? And then what might be some of the counter arguments that support advertising and other forms of marketing communication as a legitimate practice? Well, this slide shows some of the arguments that proponents and opponents of marketing communication make about advertising. Let's review the principle-based ethics approach and see what it might have to say about whether or not advertising itself is unethical. Principle-based ethics focuses on actions, not consequences. So ethical behavior arises from following universal, inviolable principles, unlike utilitarian ethics, where, say, the ends justify the means. As we know, decisions based on the belief that the ends justify the means can look awfully bad in hindsight. Many organizations have learned this lesson the hard way. Maximizing shareholder value is a wonderful end, but if you pursue it through shady means, you can destroy the whole company. By contrast, it's hard to think of a company that has stumbled ethically by adhering to time-honored principles. Minimalist principle-based ethics follow the silver rules: do no harm, minimize harm that's avoidable. Its specific principles tend to take the form of things that you should not do, such as do not lie, do not steal, do not cheat. Alternatively, the golden rule leads to an expanded notion of principle-based ethics. The golden rule states, treat others as you would have them treat you. The golden rule seeks to do as much good as possible for all stakeholders. For example, a silver rule company might pledge to never mislead our shareholders about our performance, but a golden rule company might go one step further by pledging to write our financial reports in language the average investor can understand. With principle-based ethics, it's impossible to justify unjust actions. A company cannot do wrong to achieve a good end. You can't protect the company's reputation, which is a good end, by lying about financial problems or misdeeds. From a principle-based ethics standpoint, does advertising violate any particular ethical principles as an institution? Well, probably not. However, individual advertisements have and do violate ethical principles, principles like honesty and respect for other people. And of course, such individual advertisements are unethical. Opponents and proponents of marketing communication activities have vastly different views as to whether or not marketing communication activities benefit individuals in society. A general mistrust of advertising exists among consumers, and many consumers do not perceive advertising as honest or believable. Unfortunately, this view is reinforced by abuses involving sales promotions like contests, sweepstakes, or premium offers, unethical or deceptive practices involving infomercials, mail order, telemarketing, and other forms of direct marketing, and internet marketing scams, as well as offensive advertising. Ethical criticisms of advertising claim that it undermines capitalism's ethical justification, that people buy the goods that they want. According to John Kenneth Galbraith, because it creates a desire for a particular good, people are no longer buying the goods they want, but the goods that advertising makes them desire. Also, it subverts rational decision-making and takes away autonomy by creating false needs. It develops one-sided, narrowly focused needs that can only be satisfied by buying material products and services or by appealing to genuine, deeply rooted human needs in a manipulative way. A second sort of criticism is that advertising harms human welfare by keeping everyone dissatisfied with not currently having the product, but also keeping us permanently dissatisfied with our social positions, our looks, our bodies, and ourselves. Other critics accuse advertising of creating a materialistic society full of people who think that happiness lies in owning things and are obsessed with buying consumer goods. These critics say that we are creating a society in which private goods are plentiful, but public goods, which are seldom advertised, are ignored. A society rich in private cars, but whose highways and streets are disintegrating. Such advertising drives selfish consumption at the expense of friendship, community, art, and truth.